guys. I'm back with another episode in my documentation-driven development series. What I wanted to cover today is UI refactoring using V0 and um, whatever agent you like to use, whether that's Cursor or Klein or Claude Code is the one I use. And and what I wanted to do this which I actually did. We're going to go back in time. I filmed it as I went. I wanted to take this app that I'm working on and refactor the UI. It's gotten to where it doesn't look great. I switched from a bespoke solution to using this thing called MakerKit, and it just doesn't look great. I'll show it to you in a second here. And I wanted to refactor this app that I've been working on for a few months that's pretty complex and see if I could use AI to make that process much quicker. If you weren't using AI, then you would need to get a designer involved, and then I would have the designer create the Figmas, and then once the Figmas are created, you would have to cut out the HTML and CSS. You would have to deal with the responsiveness and all that. It'd be a couple of weeks of work in like hours. You're probably talking 20 to 40 hours of design time. You're probably talking at least 20 hours to 40 hours of development time. And so I did it today in 2 hours, and I can show you what that looks like. So let's go ahead and take a look at the before and after. This is part of the documentation-driven development. And I'll show the whole process as we go through this, and you'll see why it's beneficial to this type of work. But let's go ahead and take a look first at the, this is the application, which in my opinion needs some love. So this is the main screen here. And, these are the menus over here, and it just doesn't look great, right? Why is this down here, and why is this over here? This is just, I'm using the MakerKit SaaS starter kit, which I do recommend, and it just makes some design choices that I wouldn't make. So what I did is I came into V0, which is it's by the same folks who make Next.js for Cell, and V0 will allow you to come in and create your requirements and then generate an app. And so this is what the app that looks like after I designed it. Sorry, this is being a little unresponsive, but So this looks much better. We've got the menu over here instead of down here. You can collapse and expand, and you've got all these little guys. And the logos and stuff need some work and all that, but all in all, if I could get to this, I would feel much better about it. And so, spoiler alert, I did it. It took about 2 hours. And that's what I'm going to go through in this video. The video is only going to be about an hour long. Once I get to the point where I feel like the approach makes sense, and you as a viewer should be able to understand all the different things that DocDD brings to the table when it comes to doing this kind of work, then I just kind of finished it off just so we would know how long it took to get the work done, which again was about 2 hours. So let me just pull us back to the tip of main using Git. So now if I come back over here and refresh, okay, it turns out I wasn't on the main branch, which is why it didn't come back to it. But this is, after the refactor, I have a bug for this particular issue. But we have, our side menu here. Sorry, if I can get rid of this, and there we go. We can close, and we can see that we have the little guys there. I actually added this so you could still click that there. We've got the breadcrumbing over here, and then we've got, so it looks way better in my opinion. If this is interesting to you, then keep watching, and we'll go through how I went from the first state of the application to the end, including doing the design and everything as part of the documentation-driven development approach and series. Let's get started by trying to get our design into a V0 project. We need to put enough information in there so that it knows about our current trucking brokerage system, and it knows where we want to go to. Okay, So this is V0 if you haven't used it before. If you come in fresh, you'll see a screen like this. Projects is over here. Let me make this a little bigger so that you can actually see it. What I've done is in Snagit here, I've got a few screenshots of our app, which is a trucking brokerage app. And we're going to create a new project called Truck Scout. We'll just call it Truck Scout. I mean, it's going to be a UX, so that's good enough. And then what we want to do is attach the files, the screenshots that we have. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so let's go ahead and select these files. I downloaded them here, and I've just called them a few different things. I did name the ones that have the menu open so that it might have a better idea of what I want it to look at in those. Then the next thing we're going to want to grab is I have a requirements document. We're using documentation-driven development, which is a process I've been working on. So if we go look at our code, which is going to be the Truck Scout app down here somewhere. Where you at? Truck Scout. The MakerKit version. There's going to be, I wish you could sort by name. There's going to be a docs directory. And in that docs directory, we'll have a requirements directory. And this Truck Scout MVP project plan, that has a pretty good description of what the app is going to do in the major entities. So what I'm going to do is say, review the current application I have attached. I'm going to pause while I'm typing. Okay, this is what I have so far. Review the current application. I have attached several mock-ups that show the marketing page, the loads page with the bottom admin menu open, the loads page with the top project tenant menu open. We are building using the MakerKit SaaS boilerplate, and I gave the URL. I've also attached a system overview markdown file that also contains information about the project management of the project. You can ignore the project management information, but please take note of the requirements for this project. Just kind of giving it, I don't want it to start trying to pull in project management details. We want to create a design for this application. I want to start by creating the navigation and menus we need to support the admin and multi-tenancy. I want to follow the patterns of award-winning workflow management SaaS platforms in the logistics space. So giving it a hint like, hey, let's go big. Please ask any clarifying questions. Okay, it came back with some stuff. Doesn't look like it's asking any questions. Let's see, while it's working, I'm just going to see what it's saying. Truck Scout, navigation and menu design. After reviewing your mock-up system overview, I understand you're building a logistics management platform using the MakerKit SaaS boilerplate. Let me create a new navigation and menu system that supports both admin functionality and multi-tenancy for your application. Analysis of concurrent design. From your mockups, I can see top navigation, organization, tenant selector with breadcrumbs. So it saw that. Side navigation, main application features, dashboard, carry loads, admin menu, settings, members, billing, user profile. It looks like it got everything. Let's implement a comprehensive navigation system that follows the patterns from award-winning logistics platforms. Hey, sounds like I got the message. Let's. I'm gonna pause while it's thinking. Okay, it's coming back, and slightly underwhelmed with what it has. Let's see what's going on. Okay, it seems to be having a hard time getting just a page up. I've never had that happen before. So I've just told it, like, just give me a coming soon page. I just want something that shows the navigation. So let's see what it gets this time. Okay, third time's a charm. Now we've got a page. MakerKit loads. That's pretty cool. Would like it to incorporate the logo, but I guess that's going to be the logo there. And then that seems cool. Yeah. Yeah, this seems pretty cool. And then let me just ask it. Let me grab the logo and ask it to incorporate the logo. Okay, so we've got two logos here. I'm going to ask it to use those logos and start bringing in some of the colors and let's see what happens. Okay, so I've told it I've attached the logos. I'd like to see those incorporated into the design. And let's bring some of the colors of the app into the design. So it looks more designed and less generated. See what this does. I want to shout out to my wife on that one. She's a graphic designer, and I was doing this the other day, and she's like, "Yeah, this doesn't look designed. You need to add some color to it to make it look designed." And so that's something I've moved to, and I do think my designs look better when I do that. So let's see what it comes up with. Okay, it looks like it just got done, and it's loading it. Okay. So it looks a little better, except the logo is really big in the top left corner. So the logo in the top left is really large and doesn't fit in the space. But I do like the colors. That looks a little better. Yeah, this looks, in my opinion, a lot better. It'd be cool if, whoa, I didn't want to do that. It'd be, okay, it's up to the races. Let's pause while it's thinking. All right. So not sure how I feel about that logo. You're using the light logo and should be using the dark logo. Let's see how it looks with the dark one. Okay, let's see what it's going to come up with this time. Okay, I think that actually, it doesn't look horrible. I can work on the logo later. I almost like the idea of having the Truck Scout name next to the logo, and maybe I just do another logo like that or make it a little bigger or whatever, but we can tweak that. And then it drops down like this. I could have the logo, the favicon logo there. Let me just ask it to do that. Did I add the favicon logo? Let's see, this one here. I can grab, I'll grab that one. That doesn't work, so let's do this. I'll just browse to it. And that was favicon Android Chrome, the big one. So favicon, can you use this logo for the top left with the collapsed menu? Let's just say use it for the top left, because I feel like having the text underneath is too much. And for the expanded, add Truck Scout in italics in a matching font. I don't know if it's going to be able to do that or not, but you never know until you ask. So we'll see what's going to happen. Okay. Whoa, look at that. That's getting there. I mean, it matched that font pretty good. I'm surprised. I could, we can do some graphic design on that later, but that looks a lot better. And look, boom, we got our little guy there. Again, probably need to make that SVG or something to where it looks a little nicer. But I think this is getting us where we need to be. We've got all our menus here. I love the way it shows the pop-up text. That guy is probably not great for, can you make the top right, what is this, the user profile menu? So that it has more contrast from the menu. I think that'd probably be the last change. I'm feeling pretty good about how this looks. Okay, let's see what it comes up with. Okay, so looks a little better. I could see that you would have their name there maybe, but I don't know if we need that, but why not, I guess. It all looks good. I still feel like it needs a little bit more contrast on that center part there. Give me a little more contrast on the round circle part of the user profile. Is this where the picture of the user is supposed to go? If so, then let's have a placeholder avatar. All right, let's see what it comes back with. Okay, it's coming back. Let's see what it gets. Oh, yeah. So if we're going to have TU for test user, I don't know if we need... I guess the TU is the placeholder. So ideally, we'd have the image of someone's head there. I'm just going to ask it. Okay, I think this looks better. It's got the thing there, and if we get photos, we can show the photo. So now I'm telling it I like having a light gray background when there's not a I find that your designs end up being really flat when you start having these panels and the background is white. And for me, it ends up being a little easier to design, being not a professional designer, if I have a gray base background. So I've asked it to make the background light gray and just asked it if we should consider having some color in the top menu. I feel like that's going to make it, you know, once again, shout out to my wife, Heather. I think that's going to make her feel like it looks a little more designed. So let's see what it comes up with. Okay. So it created a light gray background there. And yeah, see how the gray here, I feel like it makes these pop more. If any real graphic designers are watching this, they're probably making fun of me right now. But anyway, I feel like this looks better for my taste. It looks a little bit more considered. This is popping a little better. I think this is close enough. And then once I get this into cursor, I can start playing with getting better icons and stuff like that, making it look better. But I think this is the bones I need to keep going. So what are we going to do now is we need to download the code, download a zip, and then I'm going to open up here. And I like, as part of doc-driven development, which if you want to see the website, I think I showed it at the beginning, or I probably would. It's DocDD.ai. The whole concept is about using documentation first to manage your context, and that being the number one skill. I say context is king. Like I even did an event where I was talking to CTOs and I was talking about how context is king. And so following that philosophy, we're going to have a docs directory, and we put a lot of things in there. And so one of the things I'm going to add here is mockups. And then I'm going to take my zip folder from over here, if I can get it to pop up. Okay, there we go. I think, where did it go? All right, it's just going to be off screen. I'll grab it from over here. So I'm going to throw this into my mockups folder. So now this is the entire Truck Scout navigation app. And so part of doc-driven development is that we have we create our requirements for everything we're going to do. So if I come in here and I look at my project plan, and you can see that there's a lot of details about the project. There's all of these features, UX customization, style system, and single tenant adaptation. I think this is probably the feature. Let me see. No, let me go back down there. So UX customization. Yeah. So I'm going to tell it to update this UX customization. Actually, I'm just going to delete the UX customization and then ask it to add a new get Claude going. I'm going to ask it to add a new feature for our refactor. So this is Claude Code. Hold on. Apparently, I had to install that globally. So I'm going to use Claude Code. I'll go ahead and tell it to init. You could use whatever agent you want. I like Claude Code for now. I mean, next week it might be something different. Let me go ahead and pause. I will kind of shout out to Claude Code a little bit right here, though. If you see, it's coming through. And when you do an init, it's analyzing all of my best practices documents, my requirements. So it's doing a really good job of indexing my code base, which is one of the reasons I like it. It's got a really good agent. And so what it's creating is a Claude MD file, which will give it instructions. So once that's done, I'm going to tell it using project management best practices, which is our, if you look at that, explains how our process works. And for AI agents, it just tells it like where to look for requirements, how to update tasks, etc. So I can tell it to review that. And let's remove, what was it called? This UX one, right? UX customization. So let's remove UX customization and add a new feature for UX refactor. And the UX refactor is going to be based on the mockup in the mockup is it called Truck Scout Navigation? Let's see. Mockups, Truck Scout Navigation. Yeah. Directory. Review the directory. I'll copy it to save some time. And ask any clarifying questions. I want to create a plan that is broken up into the smallest testable tasks that we can break it up into. I want to focus only on getting the styling updated, and I don't want to change any functionality of the app. I want to stay using Tailwind and Shad CN. please review and ask any questions. So the thinking here is, if you just ask an agent to go out and do stuff, there's only so much it can get done. The task size is going to be very small that it can actually complete something. So what you got to do is ask it to create a plan that has a lot of small tasks in it. In the future, that might not be the case, but currently that is. And then once it has that plan, you can start executing on it. Let's see what its questions it asks. Based on the review of the code and the mockups, I can create a detailed UX refactor plan. First, I have some clarifying questions to make sure I understand your requirements. Based on the mockups, I see new design uses collapsible slide bar with app logo and navigation items combined with a top header that has breadcrumb search, blah, 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 blah. Is this the right understanding of the layout changes? Yes. 2, I noticed the current app uses MakerKit page components for layouts. Should we keep using this underlying component but style it to match the new mockup? Yes. Because it's a good thing I asked it to use MakerKit. And this is another tip. Just always ask it to ask you questions when you're creating a plan. Otherwise, it'll just create the plan and you won't have as good of an outcome. The mockups show an organization switcher in which in the sidebar. Does the current app have this functionality and should we maintain it? Yes, it does, and it should be moved or refactored to the new style UX. The current one, I believe, is at the top. What did they say? Context switcher? Organization switcher. At the top left of the, let me just double check that before I tell it. So, yes, that's the organization switcher there. And then the bottom right, the bottom left, I believe, yes. Okay, that seems right to me. Top left of the current app. Okay, so now we're going to go, the color scheme in the mockup appears to be different from the current app's color scheme. Should we update the color theme variables to match the mockup or keep existing color scheme and just apply the new layout? Let's use the new color scheme. Mockup seems to use different icon set. Should we migrate to this icon set or continue to use the current icon set? What icon set are we currently using? I think we'll probably stick with the current icon set and just ask it to pick similar icons. Because I think the icon set we're currently using is part of MakerKit. By the way, if you're not familiar with MakerKit, I'll give them a quick shout out too. Good stuff. You get a SaaS in a box, basically. You can build it different ways. So I chose Next.js. Next.js with Supabase for this particular project. And you get all this stuff out of the gate. So if you're building a B2B SaaS, it seems like a great place to start. I don't have anything in production yet, but I'm feeling good about it so far. So that's the MakerKit part, if you're wondering what that is. So let's get back over to here. Okay, let's see. Oh, that's a lot to read. All right, I'm going to pause and skim this, and then I'll give you all the summary. Okay, so it looks like we were using 2 different icon sets, which I don't really want to do, and so it's going to standardize to Lucid, which I like that. So it's creating a detailed refactor plan. Okay, so I'm going to say following, what's it called? Project management best practices. Can you add this as a new feature and update all the necessary documentation? So what I'm going to hope is going to happen here, again, this is documentation-driven development, and we're going to hope that they are going to come in and follow this process here, which means that what's going to happen is they're going to come into this folder here, or this document, and we should see that this UX customization, I might have to ask it to do that again, but we should see a new UX refactored link in here, which would go down to a summary section like we have here for all the other features, which then takes you down to, from there you go into a folder, and then you have the document for that particular feature. And then if you look at a more fleshed out feature, you'll have the feature and then all of the epics in that feature. And then if the epics have user stories, it just kind of, you can keep breaking it down into smaller and smaller pieces. And that's the concept. So let's see what file it's updating here. UX README. Okay, it looks like it's just going to refactor the UX customization. I'm okay with that. Okay, so let's see what it's got. UX customization, current status. It's estimating it as 7 points. UI UX overhaul complete 5%. Hey, we got some work done. And then active epic. This is the current feature that we're working on. Navigation and layout modernization. We are implementing a modern collapsible sidebar. Blah blah blah. Progress so far. This looks pretty good to me. It's got a lot of details, and this is the core of documentation-driven development. You're using the AI agent to create documentation that it then uses to understand the work it needs to do, and then you also include best practices, which as you build more and more of your app, you're coming up with new ideas of how to do your database, how to do your test, etc. So you just add those to your best practices, and then you can have your agent understand this is what we want to build. This is how we want to build it. And then if you really want to take it to the next level, you have automated testing, and so it also knows when it's done. That's the concept. It's basically borrowing from the XP process from a couple 20 years back or so. I'm showing my age with that one. And just applying it to AI, which I think is the reason why XP fell out of favor, is because it was expensive, because you had to pair program all the time. And you had to write a lot of tests and all this kind of stuff, and documentation, etc. Well, now, I mean, you get the pair programmer for $20 a month, so you may as well use the process. Create directory for a single tenant application. Okay, so this is just creating more documentation. Okay, so it's got a new document it wants to create. Okay. So that's, see how it says active epic is navigation and layout. And if we look over here in our UX directory, we'll have requirements. Here's the main requirements is our Truck Scout Project MVP, which goes to our, where did the UX one go? Let's see. UX customization. Oh, here it is, UX. And now if we come here, this is the one we were just looking at. And now we have a couple, this is a feature level. And now we have two epics under that feature. We have navigation, layout, modernization. And now it's wanting to do single tenant adaptation. I'm curious what that is going to be. Okay. So this right here, navigation, layout, modernization. We will break the implementation into small testable components that can be incrementally added. Phase 1, set up core layout and components, blah, 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 blah. Okay, testing approach. Okay, that seems good. Single tenant. This epic focuses on simplifying the UX by disabling multi-tenant features for MVP, streamlining the user experience for current project phase. Okay, yeah, that seems reasonable. I don't know if I want to do that or not, but I'm going to leave it in here because it doesn't seem like a terrible idea. And so now it's updating the main project plan. We have a chart at the top which shows the project status. Whoops. So if I come up here, we'll see that now we have the, it's updating Where's that navigation modernization? Where did it? Let's see, where was this at? This is in here, line 67. Yeah, right here. Oh, I see it there. Um, so it updated the UX to say that the current feature is navigation modernization in progress, and it's updating some of the numbers. I should have told it that what today's date is, because it's going to have all these date updates in there that are wrong. So now it's updating the project plan. 4/13. Oh, wait. Hey, it does know the date. I guess that's new. Okay, and it's updating the project status. Like there's a overview of our progress. It's like PM in a box. Okay, now it's come back. It's got the colors and all of that, so that's cool. It's pulling in the requirements for that. So I honestly think I can get this done hopefully in like less than an hour. And if you think about that, taking a site and creating an entire redesign where you're redesigning the UX and then implementing the changes in less than an hour is wild. But I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. I probably just jinxed myself. My desk is wooden, so we'll go ahead and knock on wood there. But I'm hopeful that that's what's going to happen. Create app layout component. So these are all the, what it's doing. At this level here, we're at a feature, as I've mentioned a few times. Then it's going down and saying, okay, this is an epic. And then you come to the README, and that's telling you about this epic, which is navigation layout modernization. Next up, we're going to come over here, and these are all user stories. Well, it's calling them tasks. So let's say they're called tasks. So these are all the tasks that are required to complete this epic, and then the epic is going to call those out in order. And it's just doing all this stuff, but it's following our standard operating, our SOP, which I've defined here, but it wrote that too. So this is great. So we'll just let it keep creating these tasks for this epic. Okay, great. I've created a comprehensive US refactoring plan based on the mockups and the create a detailed navigation. Cool. This sounds great. So what I like to do, give me a prompt to start this work. So it's going to give me a prompt that I can give back to it. And then what I could do is, you know, it's all about managing your context. And the less context you have, the more things you have in your context, the more hallucinations you're going to get. So I need to decide whether I want to compact or not. I might not need to. I don't think I will. So I guess I won't. So I'm going to just grab this prompt here and see it's giving all the information needed to start this feature. So now I'm going to clear, which is going to give me a new context window. So lower likelihood of hallucinations. And then I'm going to paste that in there. So now it's going to review all the documentation. And it's going to come back to me and be like, okay, let's get started. So let's see what happens. Okay, let's start implementing the first task. Update CSS and color variables after reviewing both files I can see. All right, before we do this, I don't believe we have, let me check real quick. Okay. Let's go ahead and we're going to commit our documentation changes. Documented UX refactor to new navigation and site modernization from 1 month ago. So now we have a clean slate there, and then we can come back and see what the site looks like before. But let's go ahead and take a look at it real quick. Just so that I'm going to edit this video, so I'll have shown it at the beginning. But just in case you haven't seen it yet, this is what it looks like right now. Whoa, never mind. it's already started updating some of this stuff. But you can kind of see what it's looking like, and we're going to see where we're going to get to. Where were we just at? Was it? Okay. So let's, oh, it was billing. Yeah, that looks pretty cool. See, and this is the starter kit, man. It just has all the stuff built in. So let's go ahead and go back over and tell it to get going. So this is our main screen that we've got implemented so far. Members, settings. But see, it just doesn't look very good. It's got like an ammo. I mean, this menu's kind of weird. I mean, it's not terrible. It's not great. So let's see where we end up. Actually, my design partner, he did say it looks terrible. So I have a highly qualified opinion that says it looks terrible. But to a regular developer, you're looking at it going, not bad. But what I can do is once I get this done, I can show, shout out to Cody, my design partner, and see what he thinks. I'm hoping to get a If I can get a from Cody, then we're in a good spot. Okay, I'm just gonna pause while it's cranking through all this stuff. It's just changing colors and a whole bunch of CSS stuff that I hate doing. So we'll just pause and let it do its work. Okay, it thinks it's completed something, and I just want to make sure. Let's take a look. Looks like it changed some colors and stuff. It just looks like the colors changed a little bit. Is that the right colors? Can you explain what you think you have finished and give me instructions to test it? Unfortunately, you become QA when you do this kind of development work for the agent, but somebody's got to test it. Okay. I've completed the first task. Update CSS color variables. Here's what I've done. Updated the color variables. Start the development server. Navigate different pages. Test light mode. Test dark mode. I don't even know how to do that. How do I toggle it? Here we go. No, is that not it? Where's the light and dark mode? It's probably settings, right? Team logo. Members, billing. Theme. Here we go. Okay, dark. Okay. The text looks black to me though, and then over here it looks like it's not black. So let me just. Are you sure you got the colors right? The text looks black to me, and in V0 it doesn't look black. You're right, there's an issue with the color implementation. The mock-up's using monochromatic colors, but the original app was using blue. It's a good thing I tested it. Okay, that looks better. Let's see. Theme dark. Okay. Oh, call that progress. So we'll let it mark itself as having completed an item. So now if we come over here to just to show the documentation development part of this, you can see it's saying that this task, update CSS color variables, is completed. And now it's coming and going to the navigation layout modernization README. And it's going to update CSS colors and variables. Boom. And that's how documentation-driven development works. It just starts doing all the project management for you, which I think is fantastic. So now it wants to stage the changes. That's also pretty cool. And that's part of our, if you look at our SOP over here, project management best practices, it's going to say that for AI agents, task proceeding processing sequence, review provided documentation, identify next actionable task, request clarification if requirements are ambiguous, execute task following single task focus principle, update documentation and correct sequence. I'm surprised it doesn't say to commit there. I know I've mentioned it somewhere, so I should probably add it, but it looks like it's got the idea. And so now it's giving me a cool commit message. I can just say, okay, go ahead and commit that. Okay, and then it should be going, okay, what's the next feature? And this is great because now if we come over here and do a get status, there's nothing checked out. And we tested it, so we know we're in a good spot. And then we're just in this good habit of committing and having these great commit messages. So now it wants to make a dir web components layout. I feel like there should already be a directory for this. And that's one of the things when you're working with AI, you have to get used to the kinds of things it messes up. And usually for me, it's like it likes to recreate things that have already been created. So when it's asking to create something, that's a good time to check it. When it's just writing a bunch of code, probably not a good time to check it because you don't have to read every single line of code it writes. Once it gets something working, then go back and check the code. But like make their I'm a little, let me double check this. I feel like there has to be a layout directory. Apps, web, components, styles, public, app, layout. I'm just going to tell it I'm not against having a layout directory, but please review the layout.tsx file first. Okay. Okay. Based on a review of code, I see that the app uses blah, blah, blah. There's an existing page and blah, blah, blah. The team account layout uses sidebar component. Since requirements specify that we need to create a new layout component it will be integrated with the existing MakerKit page component. Don't let the requirements dictate the design. It's just a suggestion, not the design, the architecture. And now we're getting it to code review. It's peer, right? Review this suggestion and make an alternate suggestion if there's a better approach for our app. Okay, after reviewing the existing code architecture, I see some potential issues with the suggested approach. Here's my analysis and the alternative suggestion. Current app structure. The app follows Next.js app routing pattern, which with nested layouts. There's a well-established component hierarchy using MakerKit's page component. Layouts are properly organized by functional area. Current sidebar components live in, including collapsible functionality. Issue with suggested approach. Creating standalone might conflict with the existing layout. So instead of creating a completely new, enhance the existing components, I like it. So I'll say, I like it. Let's update the documentation to reflect our new plan and as the first step. So again, I'm really glad this happened because this is kind of the core skill is creating documentation that the agents can review and understand what they need to do. But the big skill that you have to have is to be able to watch what it's doing and scan it and go, wait a minute, is this a good idea? And know when to dig deep and when not to, because it's gonna have a lot of bad ideas. But if you, like I said, review every line of code, you're gonna take way longer than if you just wrote everything yourself. So for me, I'm looking out for like architectural things. Like, is that the right file? You know, do we already have that? Is there a type for that? Like that kind of stuff. Great, let's update the documentation to reflect our alternative approach. Enhance existing layout components. Okay. See, I could review every line of this, but I'm just gonna kind of see what it comes up with. So it updated these two files. When it does the README updates, I like to just go to the README file and look at it. Okay, it wants to commit the documentation updates. So let's just take a look at these files real quick. So enhance existing layout components. Okay, that sounds right. And this one is layout modernization. This one. 5%. Enhancing. Okay, yeah, so that seems right to me. Okay, and then it's going to commit it. My computer crashed, and I had made some pretty good progress. I think I was probably about 20 minutes ahead of the last update in this video. And basically, because we're using documentation-driven development, we can just take a look up here and see that it updated the colors and variables. So if I just open the web app, let's see, you can take a look at what it looks like. Okay, so this is the marketing page. If we come in here and go to one of these, see, the colors are a little bit updated, and that's basically what we got done. There was a good bit of prompting, and one of the things that that was interesting was it kept trying to create files that for the layout for the next part of the update, enhance existing layout components. Let's do a git status real quick. And I kept pushing back on that because it was suspicious to me that it was so we don't have anything there. So let's just keep going and see what it's going to say. So I'm going to say, if we come over here to project management best practices, I have a prompt right here. This is something that I recommend you try. See right here, this it understands how our process works, and it's just a prompt that tells cursor or whatever agent I'm using, how to work on a feature. So we're working on, I believe it was the UX feature. So we'll just say UX. What was it called? UX customization. So I'm just gonna put UX customization here and UX customization here. And then I will grab the entire prompt, which just gives it instructions on how to start a feature, paste it in here, and then let it go. And then what I'm going to do is undo the changes here. The reason I had to do that is because the agents have evolved to the point where if you paste in a certain amount of text, it doesn't really let you change it anymore. So I just change it here and paste it and undo it. Part of the point of DocDD is that I want to be able to create a structure that focuses on context management and right-sizing your content so that you don't have to worry about the agents you're using, and when they change stuff, you can kind of adapt to it really quickly. And so I guess because it crashed, there might be a side benefit to that in that I'm showing that even though it crashed and came back, we're right back in it. I just needed to restart everything, restart Claude, and now I just told it what we're working on, and it should get right back to it because as we're going through it, it updates its notes as it's going. So it knows that we've analyzed the mockups, we've created small testable plans, setting up environment for incremental development is what we're working on right now. Where does that live? Current focus, navigation layout modernization. Go to that one. Okay, it looks like based on review, I've identified next task to work on. Let me clarify task analysis. The next task to work on is enhancing existing layout components, which is task 2 in phase 1 of the navigation layout modernization epic. This task is currently marked in progress. So this is where I had actually asked it to update the requirements because let me make sure that that got committed. It was trying to create a whole new set, revise layout modernization approach to enhance existing components. It was trying to create all new layout components, and I kept telling it, hey, we already have layout components. And it did the research, and it came back and said, oh, you're right, we don't actually need to do that. And so I asked it to update the documentation, and again, this approach, this is actually good that this happened because now that it crashed and I came back up and we're right back where we were at because we're using this documentation driven approach. If I wasn't, then I'd have to come back in and re-explain all that stuff. So now I can just say, let's continue. Okay, let's see what it's doing. It's creating a toggle bar. So now at this point, I'm just gonna think about at a file level, does it make sense what it's doing? And then just not review all the code, you know? So it's trying to create a sidebar toggle. That seems reasonable. And the reason why I don't really care so much is because we have a clean slate in Git. So I'm just gonna let it go for 10, 15 minutes. Let's just push, push, push and see if it comes up with something cool. And if it does, great. If it doesn't, we just reset and try again. And that's why if you look at my commit history, you'll see there's a ton of commits. And that's actually super helpful because like, if you commit often like that, say you want to understand like how many hours did I work on this, you have to log your time. I just shared an update in on LinkedIn and a few other places where you can actually just ask it to review your Git commit history and just group everything that's within 30 minutes of each other into the same time buckets and give me a summary of what was done and the hours worked, and it'll do it. And so it makes your timekeeping way easier on top of the fact that you you can roll back. It's just a good flow. And I mean, it does all the work. So, so why not, you know? Okay, it's trying to do the icons. It said it's going to check for a small one, and it's creating an app logo. Okay, that seems cool. So what we got now, whole bunch of changes to, I'm going to guess, a layout file. Components, team account layout sidebar. Okay, why not? Now let's update the team accounts layout sidebar navigation component to better match the mockup. Okay. Okay, let's see. Let's create enhanced page header components that match the mockup design. Okay. Check it. Now let's implement breadcrumb generator for helper function. Okay. Oh, okay. Make sure it doesn't have any linting errors. That's nice. It does. Historically, it's created a ton. I shouldn't say it because it's different agents, but working with Cursor and Klein with TypeScript hasn't been as productive as I've hoped because it just makes so many lint errors. Okay, so it's fixing the lint errors. That's fantastic. Let's see. Okay. Let's commit our changes since we've completed the enhance existing layout components. I want to check that real quick, buddy. So see, at this point, I don't want to just keep going. And this is why I avoid YOLO, because you really, YOLO is when it just keeps going. Oh, wow, look at that. Wow, that's cool. So it looks like the side nav isn't working. We've got some ish. Okay, there it goes. Whoa. Why does it have, let's see, loads. So there's some padding issues with the top. I feel like I feel like this is enough progress that we want to commit, but wow, I am pretty, okay, okay, that's cool. Isn't there supposed to be yeah, there's supposed to be a drop down over here for, oh, it's still over here. So I didn't get to that yet, but I'm pretty excited at how well that went. I, you just never know, right? So I had a feeling it was going to go good, and it did, in my opinion. So I'm going to go ahead and say, yes, we can commit that. So it's adding all the stuff. I find that it will leave some files not committed. So I usually will come over and do a git. I'm just going to do a git add -a, and then tell it, I've staged all the files. Can you commit with a message that emphasizes that 80 to 90% of the styling is done and looks great, but there are still issues such as the profile menu isn't done, the strings are showing internationalization tokens, the breadcrumbs is above the title. And I'm actually going to copy this because I'm going to use that in my next prompt. So I'll go ahead and tell it to do that commit for me. So don't mention Claude. It's trying to steal my glory. Not down with that. So there we go. Okay, so now our code's committed, and that's just like I was mentioning. We want to be able to move really quick, so we have a nice spot that we're at. If we would have jumped straight in to fixing all this stuff, these little onesies and twosies, we could end up in a point like this has happened to me, where the whole site just gets broken, and then you have to go back and way further than you want to. I only want to come back to here, so it's updating the documentation. Which is one of the things I love about doc-driven development, is that you get great documentation and you get project management and product owner just out the box. It's showing that we've got 15% of the task done now. I love the way it updates all the metrics. Okay, now we're in the UX, the feature level. It's updating the status. It's showing that we've updated CSS colors, enhanced existing layout, implementing apps sidebar, which I think is that one that was that I saw that was missing. So we'll say yes to that. Okay, it's updating the percentage complete there as well. This is all like DocDD in action. I love this stuff. I'm sure there's going to be some other people who like it too, and I'm sure I'm not the only person who's doing this, because it's such a great way to do this, to use AI. And there's just a lot of smart people out there trying to solve the same problems, and you always end up coming up with the same solutions when you're trying to solve the same problems with the same outcomes in mind. And I feel like this is going to be one of those solutions. So I've successfully completed the enhance existing layout components task. Okay, cool. So then this is what I like doing. This is a cool one. You say, so we should have a clean get status now. So we can say, whoa, get status. Come back over here and we say, give me a prompt to continue this work. And so I could use my master prompt that I showed earlier. But this is even better, because it's just going to give me exactly what I need to continue the work. And then there is a trade-off with context. The larger your context window, the more hallucinations you're going to get. So for me, I want to give it as small of a and focused of a description of what it needs to do and how it needs to do it as possible. So I don't want all this stuff that we just completed taking up room in the context and increasing the likelihood it's going to hallucinate. So here's the prompt. So we'll grab that. In Claude Code, you can just use a command called clear. We'll clear the context. We'll paste that in. And then now it's saying continue working on the navigation layout modernization epic. And it's got all this stuff. And say, all right, I'll work on the app sidebar, which is the exact place we left off. So so it's just working exactly how I intended it to work. So this is turning out to be a really good example. I would love to say it always goes smooth like this, but it doesn't. So I think I picked a good thing to document here, and hopefully there's folks out there who are going to take some of these techniques and they're going to benefit their work. Let me mute for a second or pause. Okay. Looks like it's a new file, app sidebar. Yep, it wants to create that file. I'm going to say go for it. Okay, it's deleting a bunch of code, which I like seeing that, which makes sense because it's pulling out a team account sidebar. And this is how I review this stuff. What file are you doing? Are you creating? Are you deleting? And does it make sense? I start at that level because like often it'll be like creating a type and it's like, wait a minute, we already have a type for that. You know, That's probably the most common thing it does is it'll just recreate stuff and or it won't follow the patterns. Okay, so it's saying that it just got it done. It's wanting to go to 30% now. Let me go take a look. And so I need to move. Uh-oh, got a couple errors. So I'm going to copy this error, pull it back over, and be like, check that out, buddy. If you haven't worked with Next.js, it has this cool little error pop-up that comes. So we can just grab that. Well, I'll just paste both those errors in there. Let them know it broke something. Okay, modifying a file, app sidebar, that seems like a good file to modify. Okay, it's doing a couple imports. All right, it thinks it's done again. Let's see. Put our QA hat back on. I'm not seeing, these don't look right to me. I'm not seeing any new styles in the sidebar navigations. The bottom left nav, I believe, should be at least partially going to the new top right profile menu. And then, oh wait, where was our, all my browsers closed. So go back to V0. So the organizations is top left, but I think it was saying that it wasn't going to do that for right now. And then the profile is over top right. So top right has profile settings and documentation, and top left has organizations. Okay. So top right has, sorry, my memory's terrible. Top right has profile settings and documentation. So which has profile settings and documentation. And then the top left nav is just organizations in the mockup. Please review and summarize your findings. I wanted to do some analysis and convince me that it understands what it's doing. And then we'll probably get it to update the documentation and then continue. Otherwise, I would expect that if I just told it to keep going and said, hey, try this, try that, whatever, that's where those hallucinations are going to end up stacking up, in my opinion. So here I'm saying, wait a minute, let's take a step back. It seems like you're a little confused, and let's make sure you understand what I'm asking you to do. And so what we're saying is, based on my analysis of the mockups, our current implementation, here's the key differences in navigation placement. Profile menu placement. Mockup, the profile menu is in the top right corner in the header. Current, we're still using the old profile menu in the sidebar footer, not in the header. Organization switcher. This is the sidebar directly below the logo. We've implemented it correctly in the sidebar, but it needs visual styling update. Okay, that sounds right. Clean separation. Okay, so update the documentation based on this analysis. And I want to continue this work until one of the major nav areas is done. Then we will commit. I think it's trying to say we completed something before we've completed anything significant. And here we okay, so let's see what it's saying. Create app sidebar components, create app, okay, blah. Move profile drop down from sidebar to header. Okay, that seems right. So I'll tell it to go ahead and do that. Now it's saying 25% done. Okay. And say, like, if you do this, if you do the documentation driven development like I'm doing it, it really does feel like you're just managing a developer. And I'm going to expect, I tried doing it with Devin, but I'm going to expect that 6 months from now, probably, you'll be managing 2 developers, 3 developers, if you're good at this. There's no way you're going to be able to manage multiple developers without doing some flavor of this unless the tooling is doing it, because you have to organize all of the context for each task in a way that the agent can come in and work. In my opinion, you have to do the full process to really be able to do what I call +1, which means that you're going to have X factor is what we're doing now. It's making me work faster, by a factor of 5 or 10 if you're like a YouTube person who's trying to get a bunch of people to click. +1 is what I'm calling, we're going to have 2 of these or 3 of these or 4 of these, right? And I tried to do that with Devin, but it didn't really work. So it looks like it updated the documentation. Let's keep working. But while it's doing that, I will pop over and show you to really do the +1. For what I'm doing, this test piece is I'm just manually testing it, and we're not really refactoring yet. We will in a minute here. The real sweet spot, in my opinion, is when you have automated tests here, which I do in the Maker Kit, but I don't for the UX stuff. And so what I was talking about with the +1, if you can get to where you have automated tests and you're giving tasks that say, create these tests, and once they pass, you're done and give me a PR, that's when you're going to be able to do +1. And that's what I was trying to do with Devin. But if it can't test its code, if it doesn't know how to test it, and it doesn't know exactly what to build, you're never going to be able to +1 unless you wait 2 years from now when they've got the agents to a point where they're doing all this stuff. But at that point, we're not going to have jobs anymore. So it's a moot point, right? But maybe not. Let's hope not. All right. App header. Let's start by creating the app header component. Now let's update app sidebar. This looks like the kind of stuff we want to happen. Something I do when I work by myself. I'll just switch back and forth and, oh yeah, look. Hey. That's cool. I like that. And then if we move this down here, no, we don't have that yet. Okay. But it's making progress. Okay, let's import that. Okay. Okay, more code getting deleted. App header. Switch over and see if it. Nope, not yet. We don't have any cool stuff. It's creating a app layout. Still not seeing anything cool yet. That one took a while because it was checking out the code base. Let's see what it say. Now let's implement the blah, blah, blah. It said it was trying to find something in the code base to make sure it's doing the right thing. To me, that's a smoke signal. I probably should look at what it's doing. Okay, so now it's going account layout. Okay. All right, fair enough. But whenever it says, whenever it's thinking for a while, that's when I'll start reading what it's doing, going like, okay, wait a minute, what's the hold up here? Because that might be a spot where it's going to hallucinate. All right, it thinks it got something good done. Let's go check. Hey, look at that. That's cool. I don't know about that black border, but I'm down for it. Okay, we're getting close. We're getting close. It's got a couple errors here. Once again, I love the Next.js for this, so we can come over. We can say, wait a minute, buddy. You got some errors. Let's get both of them. Okay, I'll get them to fix those errors before we get too excited and start updating all the documentation. And we got to make sure it fixes all the strings there. But I did like how these pop out and it shows you that. And then if you, that's cool. And then we've got our gray color there. That doesn't look exactly right there. But this is where, you know, we can tweak some of that stuff. Like maybe I don't want the gray background now that we're in here, but I probably do. We're hitting another hydration error. All right, sounds like you know what it is. Okay, it took a guess to fix that. One more guess. Some imports. Okay, it's got a couple more file changes coming through here. App sidebar. Apps sidebar again. Okay, it's wanting to update the documentation, so it thinks it's done. It looks like we lost our profile menu. We lost our profile menu. So I probably should have staged when we had that working. Like I didn't, that's something I haven't shown in this video, which I should have shown and I should be doing. If you have progress that's, okay, this is good, but maybe not commit worthy, stage it. And then like, if it gives you kind of that intermediate go back to point where you don't have to put a comment and all that and commit, but okay, let's see. Okay, it made a few changes. It thinks it's done again. Let's go see what we got. Still no profile, and we're still having hydration issues. This could be a rabbit hole situation. So I'm going to say, can we get back to the point where it was working? Here's the error. Okay, I see the issue. We have a nested A tag. All right, let's see. Still don't see it. Okay. So I really regret not staging those changes when the profile was working well, but it's actually good I didn't because it really lands the point that you should do that. And now it's completely broken. We might have to, and it thinks, oh gosh. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to give it one more chance to fix this, and then I'll just go back to the last commit. The whole site is broken now. It's probably like, I think it's unlikely it's going to recover it, but let's see. Sometimes it will. But this is one of the skills that you need as an AI developer is to know when the agent is rabbit holing and not going to recover. And I think this is one of those cases. I just don't think it's going to be able to recover. In fact, the menu is back over here now. I don't think there's anything useful in all these changes. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stash. Doesn't look to me like we're too worse off. We've got these hydration errors. Okay. So, and then I'm going to tell Claude, I've undone the changes you've made. I feel that you are stuck in a loop. Can you give me a prompt to start with a fresh, crispy agent and go get some sleep? Got to care for your team. You're right. I seem to be stuck in a loop. This should give me a fresh agent and clear focused task. All right, cool. See you, buddy. And just like that, you fired the guy or gal. So let's go. Get your replacement in. All right. Hopefully it'll get it this time. And now we got to learn the lesson again, but this time together, about making sure if you get something good, stage. Like even if it was just slightly like the smallest thing ever, stage, right? Okay, it took a really long time to figure out what it wanted to do, which I'm glad because it gets so stuck. Now I have a good understanding of the current implementation and mockup design. I'll create an improved sidebar component that addresses hydration errors and links nesting issues while following modern design. All right, let's see what you got, buddy. It was getting stuck again, so I reset it one more time. And then I'm going to grab our prompt. I grabbed the prompt, and now I'm going to give us another session. Hopefully third time's a charm. Our app is running now. I'll paste in the prompt again, and let's see if it gets it. Okay, it took a while again. So that's good, because hopefully it's going to have a better chance of getting it right this time. It's updating the team account sidebar. Okay, not a promising start, but let's see. Okay, it made a few changes, trying to be sparing of your time. And it looks like it didn't break it this time, but we do have a couple of errors here. It's still making changes. It's wanting to run a type check, so that's fine. Maybe it'll fix whatever this hydration issue is. Okay, so it's given a summary of what it's done. I let it run for a while. And it sounds like some of this stuff is good as far as having these. I thought that was already there, but it seems to think this is the proper position for that. So I'm going to say, let's just go ahead and stage this. That way we can come back. The proper position for the profile menu in the new mockup is top right in the header. Can you review the mockup and documentation and give me a summary of what we need to do? So apparently I got confused about the requirements. It could be that there's a problem in our documentation. Let's see. Okay, it looks like it figured out that there were some problems. Do we need to update the documentation? Yes, updating documentation, good practice when implementing. Yes, review and make sure this isn't already covered. I may have been reading to myself there, but basically it's saying that yes, updating the documentation is a good practice. I just want to make sure that it could be that we didn't have that in our documentation. I think it was in there and I think it just wasn't reading it. And I would guess because I was asking for the prompts weren't referring to the documentation. So that should probably, my lesson learned would be to proofread my prompts. Okay. Okay, it's saying that it doesn't have it in the documentation, so I'm going to tell it to update documentation. Okay, so it's updating the documentation. More documentation updates. More documentation updates. Okay, it's got the documentation update. Now I'm going to ask it, give me a prompt to finish this work that references the task to complete and the documentation. We'll get a fresh, crispy context so that we can minimize our hallucinations. And then I'm also going to use the compact feature. Let's make sure that it's referencing our documentation. It is. And then compact will create a summary of what's in the current chat. So we're going to take everything we've been talking about, everything we've been doing, compact that down into a brief summary. So all that context is still there, but it's indexed and summarized. And then we're going to give it this new prompt. We have the documentation now, and then hopefully it'll complete the task. And this is a really great for illustrating, in my opinion, the power of using documentation to drive your work is that otherwise it's just going to get stuck and you're going to keep asking it, do this, do this, do this. And you're going to get frustrated. And then you're going to be like, oh, you can't really do real work with this stuff. Or at least I would. And so we've pasted in our prompt now. Now let's see. We've got the theory. Let's see if we can get the work done, if we can prove the theory. Okay, it's creating a file. I'm going to go ahead and just pause until it gets done with all its updates, and we'll see if it gets it or not. Okay, it did a number of changes. It thinks it's done. Let's see what it's got. Hey, our menu's back. Got a couple errors, and the styling's off. But what is the lesson that we learned, hopefully? Let's go ahead and stage this, because we want to be able to get back here for sure to this working state. Okay, so I guess we'll address the errors first. I'm going to guess these are those same hydration errors. And then grab this second one. One of my favorite things about Next.js, as I mentioned before. So we'll let it take a swing at those errors. Okay, a number of changes came through. It thinks it's fixed it. Not seeing the error there. And then, oh, hey, it doesn't have that weird black border anymore either. Let's see. Oh, there they are. Thought you had it. But I do feel like, I don't know if I want to stage those changes. I don't know if that's an improvement or not. So grab the errors. Okay, looks like it thinks it got it again. Pardon me. Nope. So at this point, this is where I'm going to say we've been stuck. We've been stuck on this error for 3 or so attempts. Now, can you review what all the possible issues could be and share a summary of options to fix this? Because it's trying to guess its way around. It's getting stuck, just like if you have a junior dev. So you need to say, hey, what's going on? Tell me about what you're trying. And let's see if we can brainstorm this together. Okay, it's given a pretty significant explanation. Let me review this. So it presented about 5 different things it could be. So at this point, I'm going to tell it, let's update the documentation with this bug. Because, I mean, does it even, it just shows up. I think everything's still kind of working, and I feel like we're getting stuck on this. So we could probably come back to that. It's more of just like annoying. So let's update documentation with this bug. Let's make it a lower priority than finishing the rest of the modernization work. The and then I'm just going to say that, and then I'll get it to update the documentation with this bug. Then we can fix the alignment issues in our profile menu, and then get that last menu done, and then we should be pretty close then. Okay, it's done a few updates in the documentation. I'm going to ask it, can you add the errors to the documentation? Okay, it looks like it added the errors to the hydration issue. And it says right here, fix hydration issue, but it's created a separate file for that. So if we look over here, we'll see hydration issue. All the brainstorming we did. And so basically we created a bug. And that's one of the benefits of doc-driven development, is that we can say, okay, this sucks, but I'm going to come back for it. And you don't lose track of the context and the time you spent debugging. Okay, what should we do now? Stage our changes. Let's see. So we'll stage those changes, which include a ton of documentation. And then we can come back over here, and I just want to fix those layout issues, and then we'll commit. The profile menu and the nav and the header nav area has some styling issues. The circle with the T in it isn't centered. T is our only issue. This still needs to be done. Okay, so it made a few changes there. That's looking better. A little better. I thought we had like a avatar in there. So it still didn't get it right. So I put in here, it still doesn't look right to me. It's still, this is the HTML from the rendered mockup. And I came in and I just right clicked here to inspect and then did an edit and grabbed the HTML. Let's see if that helps it figure it out. I see the issue now. The mockup uses completely different avatar style. Okay. This is where it might get away from using Tailwind or something, so we probably need to double check once it gets it figured out. Okay, it thinks it's got it, and it looks like it did. That looks pretty good. I don't know if I like that black border, but we'll come back for that. I'm going to be greedy real quick. I'm just going to say, we're going to stage and say, let me just make sure. I don't think the mockup had that. Yeah, the mockup looks way better. There's a black. Okay, we're staged, so we don't have to worry about it breaking it. Outline around the profile, menu, button, and the pop-up. That isn't in the mockup. Can you remove it and make it match the mockup? Okay, it tried 2 changes. Let's take a look. Got rid of the first one and the second one. Still got it around there though, which I don't think is consistent with the mockup. Yeah. Let's see. I'm gonna. Okay, cool. It's double checking. So sometimes you just gotta like, you're QA, you know, you just gotta catch all the sloppiness. Okay, it still didn't get it. I said it still doesn't look right. The selected item has a black border. It should look like the gray background highlights in the same way that the left nav menu has. So I noticed this has kind of got the right idea going, or at least close enough. I'd be happy with that. It might not be the exact right color. I guess it's doing blue over here, but I don't know. I think it still looks good. But I just don't like this black line, so let's keep pushing on it. Okay, it's made a couple changes. Let's see what it looks like. Hey, that looks better. Okay. Still making changes. I probably should have staged. I don't know when I'll learn my lesson. Oh, I like that. That's pink. Okay. That looks pretty good to me. And did our hydration issue go away? No. That's pretty annoying that it shows that right when and this looks okay. So there's some issues on the layout for over here too, so we'll have to come back to that. But let's go ahead and tell it. Let's update the documentation and commit our changes. So I'm just going to be repeating on this process until this is done. So what I'm going to do is keep doing that and keep track of how long it takes me. I don't think there's going to be any significant epiphany moments that come out of this. I feel like I've shared a lot of the things I've learned about trying this process already, and so I think the most interesting thing now is like, how many attempts is it going to take for me to finish this? It's like 6:43 right now. I'll see how long it takes me, and then we can see how good it looks at the end. And then then hopefully this was beneficial to y'all who took the time to watch it this far. And I'll just keep pushing.